Life as We Know It with Tom Walton.
The sports world has been mourning the recent loss of a true baseball and broadcasting legend, Vin Scully. I too am saddened by his passing at age 94, especially because I have a Vin Scully story of my own. During the 1970s and 1980s, the Blade appointed me as editor of a newspaper our company owned at the time in Monterey, California, the Monterey Peninsula Herald. Tough duty, I know. One of the many perks of living and working in one of the world's most beautiful places was the golf. Rarely did I play, and when I did, I was so bad at it that I'm sure the golf course superintendents in Monterey hated to see me show up. But when the tournaments came to town, there was no bigger fan than me. The Bing Crosby Pro-Am, the U.S. Open. It was at the 1982 Open at Pebble Beach that I had my encounter with the great Dodgers broadcaster. I spent a lot of time at the 18th green that week, just mingling with the crowd and shadowing the best golfers in the world, absorbing as much excitement and drama as I could handle. It's a short walk at Pebble from the 18th green to the famous Lodge at Pebble Beach. I decided to head inside to marvel at the trophies and photos that tell the history of what surely is the most magnificent public golf course in the world. As I reached for the door to pull it open, someone was pushing it toward me from the other side. I recognized that face at once. It was Vin Scully. You know how sometimes you suddenly find yourself in a situation that calls for saying something profound, and all you can blurt out is something stupid? "Hey, how are you?" was all I could think of. "Good to see you," Mr. Scully replied with a smile. We each went our own way. Me inside, him outside. That was my once-in-a-lifetime brush with a legend, or so I thought. About 15 minutes later, lured by the frequent roars of the crowd outside around the green, I decided to head back out to the course. I began to exit the clubhouse through the same door I had used to enter. I pushed at the door, but before I could reach it, it swung open without my help. It was Vin Scully again. Our eyes met. I laughed. He laughed. "Son," he said, "we have got to stop meeting like this. People are going to talk." For me, lightning had struck a second time. I was in awe of Vin Scully for years before I met him, and even more so after. All the tributes I saw to the man after he died took note that he was a genuinely kind person, not a celebrity so full of himself he couldn't interact with the common man. How true that was. I saw it for myself. How I wish we had had cell phones in those days. I would have asked him to join me for a selfie. Of course he would have said yes, even if it had been a momentary inconvenience for him. So I too lament the loss of what I consider the greatest voice in the history of sports broadcasting. Nobody ever painted a better picture for listeners who were able to see in their mind's eye exactly what he was seeing in person. Vin Scully, a true Hall of Famer.
Life as We Know It is written and hosted by Tom Walton and is a production of WGTE Public Media. Life as We Know It with Tom Walton can be heard on WGTE FM 91 every Monday afternoon during All Things Considered at 5:44 p.m. or hear past episodes at wgte.org/life.